In the original Super Mario Bros., every world in the game ends with a Bowser fight. Or does it? I mean, you drop him in lava, surely he can't survive that. Well, it turns out he's not really coming back at all. At the end of each world, you fight what looks like Bowser, but it's not really him. If you defeat him with fireballs, he transforms. Suddenly, you'll see a Goomba, a Spiny, even a Hammer Brother. Every world in the game has a different enemy magically disguised as Bowser. The real Bowser only shows up at the end of the game. So yeah, you weren't really fighting Bowser at all, just his evil little decoys. Everyone knows that you beat Birdo by tossing her eggs back at her, but what if you threw stuff at her that you normally couldn't? I was curious, so I grabbed my Game Genie and started chucking all kinds of weird junk you'd normally never get to throw at Birdo. Big veggies, tiny veggies, trouters, hoopsters, pidgeots, bezos, even ninjas. Most of it worked just like her egg. They still take 3 hits to finish her off. The key did some damage. It acted like a shield against Birdo's eggs, and she pretty quickly finished herself off with it. I threw tweeters, porcupos, sniffets too, even their bullets, but strangely they didn't seem to hurt her at all. Neither did this glitched Mario head. The real heavy hitters are the Star and the POW block. Both will wipe her out instantly, but my favorite way to fight Birdo was definitely with bombs. It was fun and really tore up the stage. But then I went all out and used a crazy code to spawn Mousers. They had a pretty epic battle and ended up taking each other out. Everyone knows you beat Wart in Super Mario 2 by tossing vegetables in his mouth, but I want to know what else he'll eat. I grabbed my Game Genie and started chucking all kinds of things at him. Shy Guys, tweeters, sniffets. They did some damage, but ultimately he didn't bite. I chucked a delicious trouter at him, and he didn't want it. He didn't even want a fresh Birdo egg. Nothing seemed to work. Potions? Nope. Keys? They did hurt him, but he wouldn't eat them. I even tried offering him a sweet Subcon fairy, but still no dice. The POW block didn't do much, and hitting him with the Starman made his bubbles bounce, but he was totally immune. Then I found it. He will eat a Koopa shell, and if you time it just right, he will swallow a bomb too, as long as it's exploding. Turns out Wart's not just picky, he's got explosive taste. Did you know the hammer suit in Super Mario 3 was meant to be a secret? When the game launched, most players had no idea it even existed. The suit shows up only a handful of times in Worlds 6 and 7, and the manual doesn't mention it by name. Just a quiet hint that some interesting items might be waiting in World 6. But if you were lucky enough to find it, you got one of the most powerful power-ups in the game. Mario could throw hammers that smashed nearly every enemy, even the tough ones. It also gives him a shell like Buzzy Beetle that protects him from fire attacks. It was an amazing power-up. Not everyone would find it, but those who did never forgot it. Super Mario 3 has some interesting secrets in World 3-4. About halfway through the stage, you'll find 3 Koopa Troopas marching uphill. Jump on the first, then the third, then the second. If you time it right, you'll have just enough time to keep bouncing on Koopas for non-stop 1-ups. But the second and best trick comes just after the 3 Koopa Troopas. You'll run into this area with an upside-down Venus fire trap. Take out the Paragoombas in this area, then run to the right and lure Lakitu out. Then run back and grab a Koopa shell. Now kick the shell in the area under the Venus fire trap, and the shell will keep hitting Lakitu's falling Spinies, giving you infinite 1-ups while you just stand there. What's the toughest jump in the original Super Mario Bros.? Well, the jump at World 4 too can be confusing at first. You can't make the jump by itself, but it's easy if you land on one of the small platforms first, then run and jump across. World 8-1 has another tough jump. Near the end, you have to land on a single tiny block. It's stressful, but if you slow down, you don't even need to be running to clear this jump. It's all about remembering when it's coming up. But what is the toughest jump in the game? For me, it's the jump in World 8-2. About 3/4 through the stage, you'll find a pipe, 3 gaps, and 2 single block platforms. When I was a kid, I used to jump down on these tiny blocks and try to line myself up just right to get enough speed to clear the gap. Sometimes I'd even try running straight off the pipe, but that didn't always work so well. What I didn't realize is that the whole setup is just an illusion to mess with you. You can simply run and jump straight from the pipe to clear the whole gap easily. A good example of genius design that really makes you second guess yourself. Most people think that in the original Super Mario Bros., you have to land on an enemy's head to take them out. But in the original game, that's not actually how it works. The only thing that matters is whether Mario is moving downwards when he touches an enemy. That's it. So even if you hit an enemy from the side or clip its edge, as long as Mario is falling, it counts as a stomp. That's why some hits look like total misses but still work. The game doesn't care where you land, only how you're moving. So yeah, in Super Mario Bros., it's not precision that wins, it's just good old gravity. 3 Super Mario 2 Game Genie codes that break the game. Number 3, always in the background. This code keeps you behind the scenery. Trees, hills, and platforms all cover Mario like he's a stagehand who wandered on set. It's like he's trying really hard not to be noticed. Number 2, everyone can float forever. Originally, only the princess had the magic floating ability, but with this code, everyone can float forever. It's like Mario 2 got turned into a helium balloon simulator. Number 1, POW blocks bounce forever. Throw a POW block and it just keeps bouncing. The screen shakes, enemies drop, and the chaos never stops. Mario's not jumping on bad guys, he's throwing earthquakes. Did you know Nintendo made an official Super Mario Bros. ROM hack? It's true. It's called Super Mario Bros. All Night Nippon, a special version released in 1986 to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the popular Japanese radio show All Night Nippon. At first glance, it might seem like just a reskin of the original Super Mario Bros., but it's actually a hack of Super Mario Bros. 2 Japan, also known as the Lost Levels. Most of the stages are pretty similar to the original Super Mario Bros., but with a few stages borrowed from the Lost Levels. Also, World 1 now takes place at nighttime, and some of the game's enemies and other sprites were swapped with caricatures of the show's hosts. My favorite part of this hack is how they brought over Luigi from the Lost Levels, allowing you to play what is essentially the original Super Mario Bros. As Luigi, complete with his signature high jump and low traction. It's quite the challenge. 3 Super Mario Game Genie codes that break the game. Number 3, fireballs destroy all enemies. With this code, once you get fireballs, just shoot one, and every enemy on screen goes down instantly. You'll absolutely tear through everything. No aim, no shame. Number 2, kick Goombas like Koopas. Normally, you stomp on a Goomba and you move on, but this code lets you kick their flattened bodies around like Koopa shells. Something about this just looks wrong. Number 1, all enemies are power-ups. This code transforms every enemy into the last power-up that appeared. That means Goombas, Koopas, even Lakitus turn into mushrooms, stars, or 1-ups. It's like the whole game just became your bonus stage. Most people think Luigi's floaty jump started in Super Mario Bros. 2, but that's only half true. The move actually showed up earlier in the Japan-only Super Mario Bros. 2, better known as the Lost Levels. In that game, Luigi wasn't just the second player, he was a selectable character, added to give players a choice between playstyles. He could jump higher, but had less traction and was harder to control, offering a new kind of challenge. But since the Lost Levels never made it to the West back then, outside of Japan, hardly anyone knew about it. Later, when Nintendo turned Doki Doki Panic into Super Mario 2 for the West, they gave Luigi the same high jump roll again, and this time, everyone noticed. So yeah, Super Mario Bros. 2 Japan invented it, but Super Mario Bros. 2 USA made it iconic. Have you ever checked out the back of the Super Mario 3 box art? It's very strange. If you look at the top screenshot, you'll see that the World 1 map is different than the retail version. The locked door takes a different path, stages 3 and 4 are moved around, the spade here is on the left of the castle instead of the right, and the bottom Toad house is just gone. If you look even closer, you'll see the second screenshot shows a hilly grassland stage with parabeetles and note blocks, but the weird part is that level is not even in the game. These screenshots were likely part of an early build, showcased for marketing before being scrapped for balance or design reasons, but it's kind of wild to think how an entire scrapped level made it onto the box and then just vanished. Just goes to show how much can change before a game hits the shelf. There's a secret World 9 hidden in Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, and it's one of the strangest worlds in Super Mario history. To unlock it, you have to beat all 32 stages without using warp zones. When you get to World 9, you only get a single life to attempt this bonus world. It's bizarre. 3 of the 4 levels are underwater, even though they look like regular outdoor stages. It's also really challenging. You'll face Hammer Brothers and Lakitus, and even this crazy Bowser battle where you have to jump through this narrow opening to get by. If you manage to get through it, the game ends with a thank you message in Japanese, made out of blocks. World 9 was Nintendo's quirky way of saying, you're a super player. Super Mario 2 lets you do some wild stuff with the POW block. If you stand on a bomb and toss a POW, it'll float in the air. In World 3 too, you can use this trick to pass through the top of the ceiling and skip most of the stage. You can also do this by tossing a POW block while you're standing on a log. The log will float up in the air. You can also do it on these things too. And if you throw a POW while standing on a crystal ball, it pops up high in the air. But my favorite POW trick is to toss one while you're riding on a shell. It'll make it jump up high. You can do this in World 1-1 to hop up the mountain and skip the first cave. It's called a POW block, but at this point it might as well be a jetpack. Super Mario 2 on the NES has some strange errors in the credits. First off, Birdo and Ostro's names are completely swapped. Ostro the ostrich is labeled as Birdo, and Birdo as Ostro. And it wasn't even just in the game. The original manual got it wrong too. Even the later Japanese version, Super Mario USA, kept the same mistake in both the game and manual. Though at some point, Nintendo eventually fixed it, as the manual they host on their website now shows the correct names. But that wasn't the only mistake. There was also a translation error with the enemy Claw Grip, where his name was misspelled as Claw Glip. What's even weirder is that when Nintendo reworked the game for the SNES and Super Mario All-Stars, the same mistakes were still there. Somehow they went unnoticed all over again. It wasn't until the Game Boy Advance version that they finally fixed everything. Remember those bosses in Super Mario 3 called the Koopalings? Ever wonder who they really are? When Super Mario Bros. 3 came out, the 7 Koopalings were introduced as Bowser's children, each one ruling a different world. At the time, both the Japanese and English game manuals called them his kids. But here's the twist. Nintendo later changed the story. In 2012, Shigeru Miyamoto said that only Bowser Jr. is actually his child. The Koopalings? Just really loyal minions with big personalities. So yeah, Bowser didn't have 7 rebellious kids, just 1. And he's plenty to deal with. Top 3 glitches in Super Mario Bros. 2. Number 3. Disappearing scenery. In certain spots of the game with ropes or ladders, if you're able to find a mushroom block, you can actually toss it into the background. Normally, the game tries to stop you from doing this, but if you wiggle the D-pad and throw it at just the right angle, the game gets confused and lets you drop it in. The block will change to a weird color, and if you pick it back up, it will erase the part of the rope or ladder, making that section impossible to climb. Number 2. Birdo's Key. Here's a neat trick in Stage 1-2. First, go into the second pipe. Head down and grab Phanto's key. Then outside, hold the key and crouch jump off a ninja at the peak of their jump. This lets you bypass the locked door while keeping the key. Now take the key all the way to the right and through the door. The key is the only thing you can bring through, and it has some strange effects on Birdo. You can use it as a weapon, it'll block her eggs, and if you drop it in her path, she'll knock herself out. Number 1. Zombie Mode. There's a secret cheat where pausing the game and pressing up, B, and A on the second controller will instantly make you lose a life. If you do this while riding in a rocket, strange things will happen. Your health completely vanishes, yet somehow you're still able to play. If you collect a heart, it restores your health bar, but your character stays small. Luckily, if you gather enough hearts, you can fully recover from this eerie state. In Super Mario 3, there's a trick that will completely disable Bowser's fireballs. Start by entering Bowser's castle with a P-Wing. If you can make it through the entire castle without getting hit, you'll keep your ability to fly, and that's key. In the big lava room with the fire bubbles, take the second to bottom exit, the one with the Roto-Discs and Thwomp. After the last hallway, you'll reach Bowser's room, but don't walk forward and trigger Bowser yet. Instead, fly straight up, off screen, and head left. Walk to the edge up here, then turn around and drop back down into Bowser's room. Now when you fight Bowser, he'll try to breathe fire, but nothing comes out. No flames, no danger. Now he's just a big, angry turtle with asthma. Mario just went full monster mode on the NES, and it looks insane! You might remember Giant Mario Brothers, a fun Super Mario ROM hack that came out a few years ago that made Mario bigger by essentially doubling his size. It was cool, but not exactly the Mega Mushroom like what we saw in New Super Mario Bros. Well, our prayers have been answered. This is Mega Giant Mario Bros., a Super Mario ROM hack that takes things to the next level. Mario is massive. He smashes every brick, tears through staircase blocks, and even destroys castles just by walking through them. It's pure Mega Mushroom chaos, right inside the original Super Mario Bros. And somehow this actually works on real NES hardware. Some enemies in Super Mario 3 look totally invincible, but most of them can be defeated if you know how. Boo, for example, is usually untouchable, but a star, a hammer, or a shell will knock it out. Thwomps can be taken out with hammers, a star, or a Tanuki statue stomp. Even the angry sun goes down with a well-timed hammer or a thrown shell. Dry bones can be taken out with hammers or a star. Tanuki Mario can even stomp on those spinning roto discs. Then there's the walking flame called Hotfoot, or the lava bubbles called Podoboos. These can be taken out with hammers or a Starman. Most players just avoid these enemies, but with the right power-up and some good timing, even the toughest enemies can be beaten. Have you ever noticed that in Super Mario 3, the title screen shows Raccoon Mario getting hit by a shell and then turning straight into Small Mario? That's not how it works when you actually play, so what's going on? Well, in the original Japanese version, that's exactly how it worked. Just like the first Super Mario game, taking damage knocked you all the way down to Small Mario, no matter what power-up you had. But since Super Mario 3 was already more challenging overall, Nintendo of America decided that losing all your power-ups at once was too harsh. So they changed it. The title screen, though, they never updated it. So that little demo is actually a glimpse of the tougher version we never got. Many people consider Super Mario Land to be a short and fairly easy game. But did you know there's a secret way to crank up the difficulty? After beating the game once, you'll unlock Hard Mode. You'll know it's Hard Mode because the title screen cursor changes from a mushroom to Mario's head. You'll notice that every level is now swarming with extra enemies in all the worst places. Even some of the tougher enemies show up a lot earlier. There's also new level hazards, like a lot more falling blocks in the pyramid stage, and even the shooting stages get tougher. And if you manage to conquer it, you'll unlock a level select feature, letting you jump back into any stage you want. Think Super Mario Land is too easy? Hard Mode is here to prove you wrong. What you're looking at is not the Super Mario Bros. You know. It's actually something far more challenging. This is Versus Super Mario Bros., the arcade version built to eat your quarters. At first glance, it looks identical to the NES game, but the levels are totally reshuffled, power-ups are much harder to find, and enemies pop up in all the worst places. Some stages were even reworked to be more difficult, and others were replaced with stages from the lost levels. Extra lives are harder to come by too. Most of the invisible one-ups have been removed, and depending on how the arcade is set up, it can take up to 250 coins just to earn a single one-up. Nintendo also patched out the exploits, like the infinite one-up trick, so there's no easy way through. Difficulty-wise, it sits right between the original NES game and the notorious Super Mario Bros. 2 Japan. It's tough enough to push you, but never unfair. Do you know these tricks in the original Super Mario Bros.? You can wall jump in the original game. It's not official, it's a glitch, but it works. If you run full speed into a wall and hit jump at the exact frame where Mario clips into it, he'll launch back off the wall. If you ever get a game over screen, the game isn't necessarily over. By holding the A button and pressing start on the title screen, you'll continue from the beginning of the last world you were on. There's also a glitch that allows Mario to shoot fireballs while he's small. If you're powered up and touch both the axe and Bowser at the same time, you'll move to the next level in a bugged state. You'll appear big, but getting a mushroom makes you small. And when you get a fire flower, you'll be able to shoot fireballs while you're small. Goomba's shoe might be the coolest power-up in Super Mario 3, but strangely, it only showed up once in World 5-3. But that wasn't always the plan. Buried in the game's code are unused levels, ones that you'd never see in a typical playthrough. And a couple of these hidden stages actually feature the shoe. One stage looks like an early test area. The top half has real level design, but the bottom half is empty space, with just Spinies and Shoe Goombas. It feels like this is the area where the developers were testing how the shoe worked. But the second unused stage was much more polished. It has tricky hills to jump over, a pesky Lakitu tossing spiny eggs, and plenty of real platforming action. Honestly, it's pretty fun. It's a shame we didn't see more of the shoe, but maybe Nintendo didn't want to wear it out. 3 Super Mario Game Genie codes that go too far. Number 3, you can't fall in pits anymore. This code removes one of Mario's biggest threats: bottomless pits. If you fall, you don't die. Instead, Mario wraps around and drops in from the top of the screen like nothing happened. He's doing laps now. Number 2, you can't jump on enemies anymore. Normally, jumping on enemies is how you survive, but this code changes everything. Now when you land on an enemy, Mario just bounces off like nothing happened. No squishing, no defeat. Guess stomping's off the table. Number 1, all enemies throw hammers. This one's pure chaos. Every single enemy starts behaving like a hammer brother, stopping in place, pacing back and forth, and chucking hammers. Even the piranha plants come out of their pipes to throw hammers at you. It's less Mario, more dodgeball. Did you know that Super Mario Bros. 4 actually exists? It does, just not outside of Japan. What we know as Super Mario World was released there in 1990, nearly a year before it launched in North America. But in Japan, the full game's title was Super Mario World Super Mario Bros. 4. It was Nintendo's way of picking up the saga right after Super Mario Bros. 3, making it the official 4th mainline game. When brought overseas, they dropped the subtitle and just called it Super Mario World. But for Japanese gamers, it literally was Super Mario Bros. 4. One little tweak to the title, and the sequel to Super Mario 3 became something entirely new. Super Mario 3 has tons of enemies, but did you know there are some rare ones that only appear in a single stage of the game? Spiny Cheep Cheep is one of them. This spiky fish only shows up in World 7-4, then never again. Missile Bill is another. He's a variant of Bullet Bill, and only ever appears in World 4, Stage 5. But unlike regular Bullet Bills, these missiles can turn around mid-flight. Then we have the fire-spitting Nipper Plant, another tough enemy. Thankfully, there's only one in the entire game, tucked away at the end of World 7-8. And of course, the legendary Shoe Goomba. This is a Goomba that hops around in a boot, and only appears in World 5-3. You can hit him from below and steal his shoe. For only showing up once, some of these enemies were really unforgettable. Imagine Super Mario World, but bootlegged, weird, and full of bizarre choices. That's Superboy 4, a forgotten Korean Mario clone from 1992. This game was released exclusively for the Samsung Game Boy, a Korean version of the Sega Master System. And while it looks like a Mario game, things get strange fast. Instead of mushrooms, you grow big by drinking milk. The fire flower? Now it's a glove that somehow changes your skin color. Invincibility? No stars here. Just a power-up that actually removes your fireballs when it wears off. Boss fights? Gone. Instead, you just grab gems to move forward until the final battle, where you fight 2 giant frogs to rescue a princess who looks way too old for our hero. It's janky, it's weird, it's Superboy 4. Would you play this lost Mario clone? Let me know. Ever notice that you can't throw fireballs while riding Yoshi in Super Mario World? Even if you're already powered up, hopping on Yoshi disables Mario's fire attack. That's because both the fireball and Yoshi's tongue used the same button. So the game had to choose one, and it picked Yoshi. I mean, it makes sense. Yoshi was the flashy new feature, and Nintendo wanted players to focus on his unique tongue ability. But what's weird is how fast this comes up. The game gives you Yoshi, and then almost right after, gives you fireballs, either in the first level, or more commonly in the second, where players will find their first fire flower just a few hops away from Yoshi. Probably Nintendo's way of telling you, riding Yoshi is the real power-up. Back in 1995, Super Mario World was released for Nintendo's 8-bit hardware, only Nintendo didn't have anything to do with it. This was a bootleg version created by a Taiwanese pirate game developer, and as such, the game has plenty of quirks where you'll be able to tell this is not an official Nintendo product. But considering the circumstances and the time period this was released, 1995, it was actually a pretty decent demake. The game has a lot of familiar enemies. It has 7 worlds, 28 stages. It has both the fire and cape power-ups, and even Yoshi was in it. In 1999, Nintendo brought the original Super Mario Bros. To the Game Boy Color with Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. It stayed true to the NES Classic, but the oversized sprites meant you couldn't always see what was ahead, which made platforming a lot trickier than it needed to be. But in 2024, a fan project called Super Mario Bros. Mini reimagined that same NES game with the layout that really works well on the small Game Boy screen. The sprites are smaller, the layout's wider, and you can finally see what's coming up without getting blindsided. It even includes new features like a second quest, with 8 brand new Mario-themed worlds, complete with boss fights. If you're into Super Mario fan games, this one's a must-play, and I've got a full video covering everything on my channel right now. Goombas are supposed to be enemies, but are they really? In Super Mario games, they just walk forward. No weapons, no schemes, just a little waddle and a bad sense of direction. They don't chase Mario. They don't even turn around. Honestly, it just looks like they're trying to mind their business. The story goes that Goombas were once part of the Mushroom Kingdom, but joined Bowser out of spite. But honestly, it seems like they don't even know they're in a fight. Maybe they're not evil. Maybe they're just lost. So next time you stomp one, ask yourself, who's the real villain here? In most Mario levels, running right takes you straight to the goal. But World 6, 5 and Super Mario 3, doing that just brings you back to the start. The whole stage is a loop. The only way out of this stage is with Raccoon Mario. Near the final Buster Beetle, if you fly up top, you'll see 2 nipper plants blocking a brick wall and the exit pipe. The nipper plants will bite you, so there's no way to break that wall with just your tail. In order to beat this stage, down below you have to grab the Koopa shell and build up your P meter. Then quickly fly up and throw the shell at the nipper plants blocking the pipe. Only then can you reach the real exit. The game doesn't give you any hints and requires you to be incredibly accurate. It's tough. Anyone who figured out this stage alone deserves serious credit. In the original Super Mario Bros., there's a glitch that makes underwater levels way easier. To do this trick, you've got to sink to the bottom of the stage and duck. While still holding down, start swimming. Now if you do it right, Mario's hitbox stays in the ducking position, making the top half of his body invincible. You'll know it's working because you can't shoot fireballs, and when you swim into walls, Mario won't bonk his head on them. Most of his body goes into the wall. Just don't touch the ground again, or the effect will reset and you'll have to repeat the trick. It's a strange little glitch, but super handy for avoiding underwater enemies. Super Mario Bros. 2 has 3 major versions, and each one plays a little differently. The NES original is the toughest and most straightforward. No frills, just the 1988 challenge as it was meant to be. The Super Nintendo version from All Stars adds a fresh coat of paint, 16-bit graphics, better sound, but it keeps the old school feel. Then there's the Game Boy Advance version. It's brighter, easier, and the most updated of the 3. It looks better on modern widescreen TVs and feels smoother to play. Some levels were even redesigned, and the game is far more forgiving. There's even voice acting.
Have some fun.
It's still Super Mario Bros. 2, just smoother, with a few smart upgrades that make it easier to enjoy. Have you ever beaten the original Super Mario Bros.? If you have, you probably saw that the princess mentions a new quest. The new quest is actually a hard mode, where all Goombas in the game are replaced by Buzzy Beetles, and most all enemies move faster, and the Hammer Brothers waste almost no time before marching forward at you. The levels are more difficult as well. You'll notice all the elevator lifts are now tiny, and all levels that once had an easy and difficult version are now permanently the tougher one. Yikes. In Super Mario 3, after you beat a Koopling and save the king, they usually just thank you and hand over a letter from the princess. But if Mario is wearing a power-up suit, the king's reaction gets weird. If you show up as Frog Mario, he thinks you've been transformed too, and asks if he should change you back. As Tanuki Mario, he calls you a kind raccoon, and even asks your name. But the best is if you show up as Hammer Mario. He actually wants your clothes. He says, "How about lending me your clothes?" No dice? What a drag. Meanwhile, Mario's just standing there like it's a normal thing to ask. Did you know there's an official version of the original Super Mario Bros. Where you play as Luigi, and the entire game is flipped, so you play it backwards? It's called Super Luigi Brothers, and it was included in NES Remix 2, a Wii U exclusive released in 2014. The game plays similar to the original, but with a twist: Luigi's signature high jump. It might sound helpful, but paired with playing the game backwards, it's a bit mind-bending. The reversed level layouts and Luigi's floaty jumps make it a fun but tricky challenge. A fresh take on the classic game, finally giving Luigi his time to shine. World 4 in Super Mario 3 is one of those levels you never forget, and it's all thanks to one brilliant concept: make everything huge. Giant Goombas, towering Koopa Troopas, oversized blocks, and pipes you can barely jump over. It wasn't just for laughs. This was Nintendo showcasing how creative they could get with level design. By changing the scale, they made a familiar world feel brand new. Suddenly, enemies you thought you had down felt intimidating all over again. Even routine jumps became tricky just because of how massive everything was. Back then, it made you stop and go, whoa. It's one of the boldest, most charming worlds Nintendo's ever built. A big idea with an even bigger impact. There's a wild trick in Super Mario 2 that lets you stack up a crazy amount of coins. So many, the game doesn't even show a number anymore. It's just a weird symbol. Here's how it works. First, find a spot with a potion and a bunch of veggies near a pit. I like to use this spot in World 1-3, but there are many places you can do this. Now use the potion to enter subspace and grab as many coins as you can. Then make sure to fall into the pit before subspace ends. Normally, you only get 2 coin grabs per level, but if you fall into a pit in subspace, it doesn't count. You can do this over and over again and you'll rack up coins fast. More coins equals more slot machine spins equals more extra lives. It's weird, but it works. Ever wanted to mess with Bowser just for fun? Well, he's surprisingly predictable. He only attacks when you're standing on his left side. Run past him on the right, and he'll follow you slowly. But jump back over to his left again, and he'll almost always react by jumping straight into the air. That's your opening. You can slip underneath him and circle back to his right side, making a full loop around him. He keeps falling for it over and over again. A perfect little loop of Bowser frustration. At this point, I think I broke him. Have you ever noticed how polite the piranha plants are? In the original Super Mario Bros., they won't come out if you're standing next to their pipe. It's like they're saying, "Oh no, after you." That same polite behavior continues in Super Mario Bros. 3 and even Super Mario World, a quiet agreement between plumber and plant. But then I played Super Mario Bros. 2, The Lost Levels, and my trust was shattered. The red piranha plants? Rude, reckless. They pop out faster, and they do not care if you're standing right there. They don't wait. They don't respect boundaries. They broke the code. And honestly, I haven't felt safe near a pipe since. Super Mario 3 has 3 warp whistles hidden in the game, but you only need 2 of them to get to World 8. Use the first from World 1, and it takes you to the Warp Zone, where you can jump to Worlds 2, 3, or 4. Use the second whistle inside the Warp Zone, and you're off to World 8. That's the fastest route through the game. But here's the thing, you don't have to rush. Using a whistle later on, from Worlds 2 through 6, will send you to World 5, 6, or 7 instead. You can get to any world with only 2 whistles, so why are there 3? Because Nintendo wasn't just handing out shortcuts, they were giving you options. Skip ahead, take your time, or explore a little and then jump to the end. You definitely don't need 3 of them, but back then, finding hidden stuff like that was so much fun. Ever wonder why Mario can turn into a stone statue in Super Mario 3? The Tanuki suit is based on the Japanese raccoon dog, or Tanuki, a real animal with a big place in Japanese folklore. Legends tell of Tanuki that shapeshift into statues to fool people, often just for fun. That's the inspiration behind Mario's statue form, slipping past danger the same way a clever Tanuki might trick a traveler. It's a power-up with a playful past, where myth meets gameplay. Fly high, then drop like a rock. Super Mario 2 had some pretty advanced physics for its time. Things bounced, fell, and felt grounded in a way that worked surprisingly well, especially for an 8-bit game. But there's one enemy who completely ignores the rules: Pokey. For some reason, Pokey has 0 gravity. In World 6-1, if you lead him to the left, he just floats, like he's part balloon. Even weirder, in World 2-2, Pokey can walk straight through the ground, just casually drifting through solid terrain. It's not clear if this was a glitch, a coding oversight, or intentional chaos, but Pokey's whole vibe here is, I do what I want. In a game full of rules, Pokey's just out here living free. In World 4-2, about halfway through the stage, there's a pipe that would normally take you to a hidden coin room. However, there's a way to glitch this pipe and trick it into sending you to the Warp Zone area. This glitch is especially useful for speedrunning and occurs because the game uses a single variable to track exits for pipes and vines. When a level contains multiple exits, this variable doesn't update until you scroll the screen far enough, usually when the pipe reaches the center of the screen. If you're able to move Mario off the center of the screen, to the right, you can make him enter the pipe before the variable updates, while it's still using the old data. This will make the pipe send you to the wrong area. An easy way to do this is to hit the vine block, then scroll the screen just enough so that half the vine block is off screen. If you jump onto the vine and move left, Mario will pop out the right side of the screen. Now enter the pipe, and you're sent straight to the Warp Zone area. You can also jump backwards into blocks, which slightly pushes Mario to the right, away from the screen's center. Doing this about 3 times positions Mario far enough to the right to pull it off. Not too complicated once you know how it works. Top 3 glitches in Super Mario Bros. 3. Number 3. Wall jump. Did you know Mario can actually wall jump in Super Mario 3? It's not an intended feature, and it's really tricky to pull off, but it is possible. If you're running full speed into a wall, there's a brief moment where Mario will slightly clip into the wall. If you jump at exactly that moment, you can jump off the wall. Number 2. Mario stuck in a pipe. By crouch jumping into the very edge of a pipe, you can sometimes enter it in an odd, unintended way. Some pipes will work normally, but in certain cases, Mario gets stuck and completely disappears. You can still move the camera around, but Mario, he's gone. Number 1. The wall clip trick. In certain spots, you can actually clip through the walls by sprinting at and crouch jumping into the very corner of the wall. This glitch lets you skip huge sections of levels. A great place to try this is the first fortress. You can clip through this wall and go straight to Boom Boom, skipping most of the stage. Another awesome spot is World 7-1. Right at the start, the game wants you to enter a door, but instead, you can clip through the wall and clear the entire level in seconds. World 3-9 in Super Mario 3 has the best 1-up trick ever. Grab the Koopa shell at the start of the stage and carry it to the right. You want to kick the shell near the second Bill Blaster so it gets trapped between the two cannons, then hop up top. And wait. If you did it right, the cannons keep shooting bullet bills, and soon you'll start racking up the 1-ups. You'll have time to max out your lives and still stroll out the stage with a few seconds on the clock. It's fast, it's easy, and it makes World 3-9 feel like a bonus stage in disguise. Super Mario Bros. Is broken. Well, no, not this original version. This one's perfect. What I'm talking about was the 1993 remastered version of Super Mario Bros. Released in the Super Mario All-Star Collection for the Super Nintendo. This version has a serious flaw. When you break a brick in the original Super Mario Bros., Mario is pushed back down off the brick like he bounces off of it. In the remake, when you jump and break a brick, Mario is lifted up a bit instead of rebounding off the brick. This leads to some very unsatisfying moments and can really slow the game down. Luckily, the modding community has already solved this ages ago, and there are mods or patches that you can install that fix this issue, so the game works like the original. Guess Mario's not the only one who needs a power-up, so did the remake. Super Mario Bros. For the Game Boy Advance has to be one of the strangest official ports of the original Super Mario Bros. This game was released under Nintendo's Classic series and does contain the entire NES game, but what makes this one so strange are the graphics. It's got some weird interlacing issue going on, which you probably wouldn't notice on an actual GBA screen. But what you absolutely will notice is the screen squished down to a very bizarre and uneven resolution, distorting all of the graphics. Some enemies in Super Mario 3 are truly invincible. They can't be stomped, burned, or even star-powered through. Munchers are black chomping plants that you can't directly harm. Even with a Starman, they remain untouched. The P-switch can temporarily turn them into coins, but it's not really a true defeat. Gelectros are another invincible enemy. These glowing jellyfish are found in underwater levels, and there are no power-ups or attacks that can harm them. Bill Blasters, the cannons that shoot bullet bills, are permanent fixtures. The bullets can be destroyed, but the blasters themselves stay put. And in Bowser's Castle, the statues that shoot lasers are made of stone and completely unbreakable. In a game full of enemies, these guys stand apart, untouchable, and meant to be avoided rather than defeated. Ever wondered how the game decides what item you get in the Toad houses in Super Mario 3? The rules change depending on the house, but one thing's for sure, Toad's not the one deciding. There are two types of Toad houses, ones that always give the same item, like the one with the frog suit in World 3, and others that pull from a pool of 3 possible power-ups. The game actually waits until you open a box, then gives you an item based on a constantly changing random number. The other 2 boxes are total fakes. They're never even filled. And no, jumping around or blasting Toad with fireballs won't change what you get. Just pick a box and enjoy the surprise. World 6-2 in Super Mario Bros. Is one of the most complex levels in the entire game. It throws everything at you. Goombas, Buzzy Beetles, Koopa Troopas, Paratroopas, Cheep Cheeps, bloopers, and a ridiculous 26 piranha plants. There's a bonus beanstalk area, 2 hidden underground bonus rooms, and even a weird optional underwater route with platforms that try to pull you down, something no other underwater level does. It stands out because it doesn't just stick to one idea. You get a little bit of everything here. It's not the most iconic stage, but one of the most intricate and thoughtfully built. Ever wonder why World 1-1 is the perfect first level? You start on an empty screen with open space leading you to the right. A lone Goomba shuffles towards you. Your first choice, jump or lose a life. A flashing question block begs to be hit. Coins first, then a mushroom that bounces off a pipe into your hands. The pipes ahead teach short hops and long leaps. A hidden 1-up rewards curiosity, while the first pit adds real danger. Goombas on blocks show gravity, and that bricks from below can be weapons. You'll learn about the fire flower, the Koopa Troopa shell, and the star. You'll find a safe staircase for practice before a dangerous one. By the flagpole, you've learned the basics of Super Mario without a single tutorial. World 5-3 is one of the most special areas in Super Mario Bros. 3. This was the one and only spot in the entire game where you could meet a special type of enemy called a shoe Goomba. These guys can be stomped from above, but the real fun comes from knocking the Goomba out of the shoe and then hopping into it. The shoe will protect you from spikes and spiky enemies like Spinies and Munchers. You can also jump on the Piranha Plant enemies as well. Absolutely one of the rarest and most interesting power-ups in Super Mario Bros. History, and it wasn't even mentioned in the instruction manual. Every cartridge of Super Mario Bros. 3 shipped with hidden stages buried in the game's data. These are most likely stages that were designed to help test power-ups when Nintendo was developing Super Mario Bros. 3. They probably figured no one would ever find them, so they didn't bother removing them from the game. There are 15 of these stages in total, some in various states of playability, but they're fun to explore. To access any of these stages, you'll either need to use some Game Genie codes, or check out this ROM hack, which lays out all the levels for you. In Super Mario Bros. 2, it's no secret that Toad is the strongest when it comes to lifting and tossing items, but what most people don't realize is that he also runs faster while carrying something heavy. I tested this out with a bunch of different items, and Toad gets the biggest speed boost when carrying Shy Guys or POW blocks. The heavier the item, the more speed he gains. Now, does it actually help you much? Not really. There's rarely a moment where a tiny speed boost makes a big difference. It's just one of those odd little secrets that are tucked into Super Mario games. A hidden detail you might never notice unless you're really paying attention. This is Super Mario Bros. Running on the Mattel Intellivision, a home video game console from 1979. While not an official release, this is a homebrew demake crafted with incredible attention to detail. Every enemy, stage, and power-up from the original game is here. And even the iconic music has been brought over to the Intellivision's hardware. This is a solid Super Mario Bros. Clone, delivering the full experience on a console that's over 4 decades old, 6 years older than the NES itself. That's pretty incredible. Ever wonder why the Koopalings in Super Mario 3 have such unusual names? When Nintendo localized the game for the West, they named Bowser's 7 kids after famous musicians. Larry got his name from Larry Mullen Jr., the drummer of U2. Morton Jr. was named after Morton Downey Jr., a controversial talk show host. Windy O Koopa was inspired by punk rocker Windy O Williams. Iggy Koopa takes his name from rock musician Iggy Pop, while Roy Koopa comes from rock and roll singer Roy Orbison. Lemmy Koopa is a nod to Motorhead's Lemmy Kilmister, and Ludwig von Koopa? You guessed it, Ludwig von Beethoven. So next time you're stomping them in Mario 3, remember, you're facing a whole band of rock stars. Did you know there's a room in Super Mario 3 where Mario literally disappears? In the fortress near the end of World 4, there's a secret room you can find when you hit the switch block. Normally, you'd ride the directional lifts to the top, but if you jump and hold down near the corner of this specific pipe, you'll glitch through the stage. The screen scrolls down for about 10 seconds, then suddenly wraps back to the top, but Mario's gone. You're still in control though, and there's a spot where you can stand to constantly collect coins. The only problem is you can't keep them. If you run out of time in here, the game doesn't take you back to the map. There is an exit in this room, and if you manage to escape, the fortress crumbles like normal, but the bridge never appears, so you can't reach the castle, and you'll be stuck in World 4 forever. World 3-9 is home to one of the strangest glitches in Super Mario Bros. 3. Around the beginning of the stage, you'll run across this brick area with a Paragoomba jumping around. One of these bricks has a hidden mushroom in it, and after releasing it, if you hit it again from below, it will take out the Paragoomba. I've been able to do this with both the mushroom and by using a bomb, so it's definitely the action of hitting something from below, where the Paragoomba will also think it got hit as well. Strange stuff. The frog suit in Super Mario 3 is awesome, until you try walking in it. Underwater, it's fantastic. You zip through currents, dodge bloopers with ease, and feel like a true amphibian hero. But on land, yikes! Mario can't run, and he walks like he's wearing cement shoes. Every step feels heavy, every jump feels off, and your momentum is gone. It's a great power-up for underwater stages, but most of the game isn't underwater. So while it seems like a top-tier power-up, it mostly just slows you down. It's great for swimming, questionable for everything else. You know what separates a regular piranha plant from a real threat? Fire. Venus fire traps don't just sit in pipes, they hunt. Early in the game, they're slow and easy to dodge, but but by the end, they pop up everywhere and spit 2 fireballs at once. Some lurk in quicksand, others hang from ceilings, spitting fire down on you while you're dodging everything else. They rise up, lock on, and fire straight at your face. The smart move is to hit them fast or don't stick around. They're not just plants, they're pipe-dwelling snipers. What you're looking at is Super Mario Bros. On the Apple II GS. And yes, it's real. This was a 16-bit computer Apple released in the mid-1980s, and somehow Mario made his way onto it. It's actually a fan-made demo project released back in 1996. The first 2 worlds are fully playable, and even the hidden blocks are in the right spots. But Mario doesn't quite feel the same. The physics are floaty, momentum is slippery, and precision jumps are way harder. The graphics look close to Nintendo's, just a little squished. The sound, though, is pretty lacking. No sound effects, just one circus-like tune looping endlessly the entire time you're playing. It's far from perfect, but still wild to see Mario running on Apple's forgotten 16-bit computer. Check out my full video to see more about these weird clones. Everyone knows Bowser, but the Bowser we know today was almost something totally different. Back in the early 1980s, Shigeru Miyamoto envisioned Bowser as an ox-like figure, inspired by the bull demon king known as King Gruesome in the West. This was a character from an anime called Alakazam the Great. If you look at the original Japanese Super Mario Bros. Box art, you can still spot echoes of that ox-like design. But another Nintendo designer, Takashi Tezuka, pointed out his resemblance to turtles, prompting a redesign that blended those bull traits with the Koopa Troopa family to create the Bowser we know today. So next time you take on Bowser, remember, his fierce beginnings were inspired by a legendary Demon King. Did you know there's a version of Super Mario World made for MS-DOS? Well, sort of. This was a homebrew game called Super Mario World DX that unfortunately Nintendo killed off pretty quickly back in 2002. It only had 5 levels, but they were surprisingly faithful. You got caves, ghost houses, even underwater stages. The graphics look almost identical to the SNES original, and most sound effects were copied over too. The physics were pretty spot on as well. Mario controls just as he should. What's missing are the extras. No cape, no overworld map, and the music is mostly gone, except for the ghost house, which somehow has the full track. It's just a demo, about 20 minutes long, clearly still in development, but it really feels like a glimpse of a lost Mario game. Check out my full video to see more about these weird clones.